What's going on, you guys? GT Jesse here, and in today's video I'm bringing to life in Gran Turismo 7 the Steve's POV HAKOSUKA Nissan Skyline GTR. Guys, this is a livery that I created in Gran Turismo 7 for the GT Community Designs livery competition. We are in round 4 of the competition, and the theme for that competition was to choose a classic road car and create a patriotic livery for it. And honestly, I could think of no better patriotic themed livery than the rising sun on the side of a Nissan Skyline HAKOSUKA, which is very much a classic road car. And so it has this really cool patina / rust theme on it. And this is a replica livery for all intents and purposes. So this came directly from Steve's POV. If you don't know who Steve is, he has a really cool YouTube channel. Check it out. It's just, I think, Steve's POV. But that channel is very Japanese culture, very Japanese car focused. Steve and his family are very much into Japanese sports cars and tuner cars. And I had the pleasure of meeting Steve for the first time here at the Anna, Texas Cars and Coffee a couple months back. And I hadn't actually heard of him before, but he showed up in this HAKOSUKA Skyline, and his son was rolling with him in an 8.6, and the 8.6 was a spitting image of the one in Initial D. It was kind of crazy to see these two cars roll up to our local Cars and Coffee in person. But then I found out Steve lives right down the road from me, and he lives in McKinney, Texas. That's like 10 minutes away, and he just started this new Japanese kind of treats company called Hoshi Japanese Sweets. They're these delicious little pastries that have like custard and matcha fillings. So I hit him up during the launch week for this new business where they were doing basically a pop-up event at a local Japanese market called Mitsuwa Plano, and I had the chance to just chat with him and try his new sweets, and he actually featured me on his YouTube channel, which was really cool. I'm going to post a quick link to it here.
Can you say that? Very good. All right. Imagawa-yaki. Very good. Kaiten-yaki. These are 3 different ways of essentially calling the same thing here. These are Japanese sweets, Japanese treats, and we brought a little Texas flair to them. Okay. You're going to try the custard today.
I am. Yep, let's do it.
Here you go.
How do I say, delicious?
Well, what do you want to say in Japan before you eat something? Somebody gave you say itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu.
Very good. Itadakimasu. Sometimes we put our hands together and say itadakimasu.
All right. Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu.
All right.
Dozo, please. Ooh, we got gushy custard coming out. Woo. What do we got?
All right. All right.
When something's delicious, you say oishi.
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 I knew that.
Yep. Or you can say in Steve POV where we say umai.
Umai.
3 times. Umai, umai, umai.
Umai, umai, umai.
Umai, yeah.
Steve.
Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes. Thumbs up. Absolutely.
So as you can see, I obviously love sweets and meeting new people, and Steve is really just one of those guys. He's just a genuinely nice guy that radiates from him. You can tell from that video and his entire YouTube channel, and it was a pleasure to meet him in person and also to support his new business, Hoshi Japanese Sweets. But overall, just really love this livery, and I wanted to bring it to life in Gran Turismo 7. So Steve, if you're out there, if you're watching this, here you go, buddy. We can now drive your HAKOSUKA Nissan Skyline GTR in Gran Turismo 7 on all of the different tracks across the world. And everybody else, if you want to find this car in Gran Turismo 7, all you have to do is search for GT Jesse or Steve's POV, and that will get you to this car in Gran Turismo 7. You can save it, download it, apply it to your car, and drive it on the tracks. So guys, hope you liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thanks so much for stopping by. Enjoy the video, and have a great rest of your day. Guys, I also just want to mention that I've actually done a rust livery on my YouTube channel before, but I've never done this kind of distressed patina type of livery. And so there are going to be some Easter eggs hidden throughout, some tips that I will share with you to get the desired effect. And so just something to keep in mind, and hopefully keep you guys engaged while the video plays and while the time lapse plays out, instead of just listening to the background music, every now and then I'm going to pop on here and share some nuggets of wisdom that can help you create liveries in a similar effect. Guys, first Easter egg is these types of liveries where you're creating a rust effect and a distressed effect require a lot of layers, and because the Gran Turismo livery editor only allows you to have a maximum of 400 decals or 400 layers on any given car, it's really important to keep that in mind right out of the gate. At the onset. So you're going to see me make some compromises with the rivets that I put on, where I'm using series of rivets which count as one decal instead of individually placing each and every rivet. The series of rivets don't follow the body lines perfectly, but again, it is a compromise because you only have so many layers to work with in Gran Turismo 7, so you got to make it work to the best of your ability. Now, as far as the rust effect goes, you're going to see me go in and pretty much save every single possible rust decal that anybody in the history of ever has uploaded to Gran Turismo and save it in my collection so that I can reference it while I'm creating this livery. But you'll actually see that I only end up using a handful of those rust decals, and what I end up doing is taking 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 rust decals, but at any given point on the car, I'll take the same decal and duplicate it, flip it, rotate it, flip it horizontally, skew it a little bit, so that it's basically taking the same type of rust, but just giving it different shapes. So it's not the exact same thing replicated over and over again, but so that you can have different shapes of rust that you're kind of building up. You're building up a rust patch by taking one decal and duplicating it and stretching it and manipulating it to give kind of an organic rust patch effect. So now we're starting to get into the bread and butter of this livery, and that is that distressed effect. And the way that I accomplished this, you can see what I did on the rising sun and the chevrons, but for one, I chose a base paint that was not a special paint. And I did that specifically because you need to be able to create decals and basically take those decals and make them the exact same color as the base paint. So if you look at the rising sun, it has that kind of spiderweb distressed effect. The only way you can create that without actually creating that decal in Inkscape custom for this livery is to take a red circle, right, a solid red circle like I did, and then overlay a type of spiderweb distressed livery or decal, but that decal has to match the paint underneath it, because otherwise you're going to protrude past the borders of the circle. So I did that, and I think it worked really well. I was honestly pretty stoked with how it turned out on the various parts of the car, but that's how I created that distressed effect. The next piece here is all of these different rubbed parts of the paint where the paint is kind of like rubbed off and worn out, and those are very specific decals, and you can find them if you search for rub or scratch. Those are the keywords that you want to use to find those decals. But what I did to give it the effect that I'm looking for here is I made them black, and then I adjusted the opacity. So basically made them kind of semi-transparent, and that makes it so that the gray shows through and they're just like a different hue of the gray underneath, giving it that effect of like somebody rubbing up against your paint in another car, and it still retains the original paint, but it's just like worn out and, rubbed and distressed. So that is your distressed effect in a nutshell. So one, choose a base paint. That is a standard color from your color wheel, right? Not a special paint. And then overlay decals that are the exact same color as that base paint. That way you can overlay them on any shape and size decal and they don't protrude past the border, right? Or you can't see them protrude because they just blend in with the paint underneath. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is using those rubbed decals, those scratch decals, and changing the transparency to make them look like actual faded parts of the paint. Whenever you create a rust livery, you want the rust patches to appear to be organic, right? So you want to think about if this car were sitting in the rain or by the ocean for a long period of time and water collected and pooled in certain areas, where would the water collect and pool that would create a rust spot, right? If you think about like New England winters or cold climate winters, the road salt and the sand, it splashes up, it hits the rocker panels, it hits the fenders, the rear quarter panels. Those are the areas that rust the worst, but then also the areas around the base of the windows, especially in these older cars where the trim pieces were metal. Those are areas that are prone to rust as well. So you just want to think about that from, creating an organic rust effect perspective, the areas of the car that would be most prone to rust in real life. Now on the hood, you're going to see me use these rust leak patches. And I really like using these because if you use them the right way, they can give the car, that really old-timey feel. But they're kind of tricky to work with because if you just put one layer of them down, they don't really show up. Like, it's very, very faint, very vague. And so I find that if you layer them strategically, you can get a much more pronounced kind of old-timey feel and effect on the car. So I did that on the hood to basically give it that effect of the hood rusting from years and years of driving down the highway and just getting blasted with the elements. At this point, you're going to see me start to add some of the unique Steve's POV decals to the car. And all of these decals I basically sourced from photos of the car, and I recreated them to the best of my ability using the freeware graphic design software Inkscape. Guys, if you want to learn how to create decals like this and upload these decals into the game, I have several tutorial videos that will show you how to do that. Just head over to my profile, search for Inkscape, Gran Turismo decals. It's usually one of the first videos to pop up. They've been hugely popular among the livery community, the designer community, because it is not easy to get high quality decals into Gran Turismo. The file size limitations are very strict. The files have to be under 15 kilobytes. And so there is very much an art to not only creating high quality decals, but creating high quality decals that are a small file size. So hope that helps you guys, but that's basically what you see me doing here.